Interesting history Shipwreck Island has. I'd studied up on it before I came down.
What are the names of those two people I'm accused of killing?
John and Lucy Combs. I made a note of it.
Must have been a couple of kids I ran over near Cambridge. Beastly bad luck.
For them or for you?
Well, I was thinking for me, but of course you're right, sir. It was damned bad luck on them. Of course it was a pure accident. They rushed out of some cottage or other. Beastly nuisance. English roads are hopeless, of course. Can't get up a decent pace on them. Well, anyway, it wasn't my fault. This man is dead.
Did Marston choke to death?
You can call it choking if you like. He died of asphyxiation right enough.
Was Marston poisoned?
Can't say exactly. Everything points to one of the cyanides. No distinctive smell of prussic acid. Probably potassium cyanide. It acts pretty well instantaneously.
Was there something in the whiskey?
Yes, without a doubt.
Do you think it was suicide?
Seems like it.
Could he have been murdered?
Not my line of country. I'm a doctor, not a detective.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
Not I, personally or professionally.
What do you think that record means?
A disgraceful and heartless practical joke, I suppose.
Good evening, Doctor. Do you think it was suicide?
You conduct yourself well, Mr. Narracott, if you don't mind my saying so. Mr. Blore has told us that you are not what you appear, yet you told him you were not a detective.
No, sir. But I've read many detective novels. I even had one of those junior detective kits when I was a boy. Magnifying glass, fingerprint powder.
Junior detective kit. Wonderful.
Ah, an amateur sleuth then. You appear to have something of a gift for it.
About the suicide, Judge.
I'm not yet prepared to offer an opinion.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
I knew his father, the Duke, and his elder brother. Like so many younger sons of his class, Anthony Marsden was a bit of a wastrel, as you will have gathered. There were other rumors of late, of his dabbling in politics, but this is not the proper forum for that discussion.
What do you think that record means?
May I answer that in a moment after asking a question of my own?
Of course.
Does anyone know Mr. Owen's full name?
My letter was signed only U.N. Owen.
Yes, U.N. Owen. Or, by a slight stretch of fancy, unknown. I'll now answer your question, Mr. Narracott. The name, the recording, the circumstances under which all but you were lured to this island. I have no doubt in my mind that we have been invited here by a madman. Very possibly a dangerous, homicidal lunatic.
Why did you retire, Judge?
I know there was talk about my competence, even my ego running wild, but the truth of it is very simple. My health. A lifetime sentencing my fellow man, and now a higher power has passed judgment on me.
I am grateful for your assistance, Judge Wargrave. I don't think he's in the mood for conversation. Do you think Marston committed suicide?
Yes. In my experience, certain types of individuals, when faced with their sin, will then commit the greater one.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
No.
What do you think that record means?
There is something very peculiar about it.
I overheard you mention St. Trebnick to Miss Claythorne.
I was staying at a seaside hotel near St. Trednick this same week of August 4 years ago. That boy Cyril Hamilton drowned near there. It was the talk of the town. His half-brother was much older. Hugo, I think his name was. Cyril was a vile child, by all accounts, but first in line for the family title and estates. When he died, it all went to Hugo. He was just about Miss Claythorne's age. There was talk of something between them.
You're suggesting Vera let the boy drown so the man she loved could inherit?
That would be idle gossip. I don't indulge in idle gossip. I've only told you the facts of the case as I remember them.
That is all, Miss Brent. Do you think Marston committed suicide?
I shouldn't have said Mr. Marston was a suicidal type of gentleman at all.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
Never clapped eyes on him. And who gave you the authority to question us?
You're under no obligation to answer me. What do you think that record means?
I don't like it. Not one bit. Very queer, the whole situation.
That is all for now, Mr. Blanc. Do you think Marston committed suicide?
He didn't seem particularly remorseful. Of course, the record might have set him off somehow. A new incident long after the fact may create a strong feeling of guilt or fear. Wouldn't you say, Doctor?
Possible. Quite possible.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
Heard of him, but we'd never crossed paths or swords.
What do you think that record means?
There is something wrong with this entire weekend, and especially with our host, Mr. Owen.
I believe we're all coming around to that conclusion.
Yes, but I know something you don't, Judge.
What is that?
I recognize the voice on that recording, and it was definitely not Mr. Owen.
Who was it?
Not so fast, Narracott. Not until I think things through a bit more.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Lombard. Do you think Marston committed suicide?
You'd never think he would kill himself. He was so alive. When he came down that hill in his car, he looked... Oh, I can't explain.
You seem to be a remarkably perceptive girl, Miss Claythorne.
Why, thank you, Mr. Narracott.
Is there anything you can tell me about our fellow castaways?
Castaways? You make it sound so...
Romantic?
I was going to say dramatic. Let me see. No one has confided any secrets to me, I'm afraid. Oh, except one.
That is...
I really don't know you well enough to answer you.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
No. I'm sure I would have remembered.
Steady, Miss Claythorne. The lad had his faults, you know.
What do you think that record means?
It was unfair, what it said. Very unfair.
Thank you for your time, Miss Claythorne. Do you think it was suicide?
How dare you! My wife died of natural causes, sir. A long illness, nothing more.
I meant Marston.
Marston? No honor in him that I could see.
Did you know Marston before he arrived here today?
No, I don't think so. Not a military man, I'd wager. Lombard now. He reminds me of someone from my command. But the name wasn't Lombard.
What do you think that record means?
Ugly. After 30 years. Ugly thing to say.
I am indebted to you for your help, General Mackenzie.
Where have you been, Rogers?
I went to check on my wife, sir. She is resting comfortably. But I'm afraid I have some distressing news.
Oh?
One of the china figures of a sailor boy has been broken off.